activity will change your life, and I'm speaking from experience here. More and more often these days, I seem to run into what is the unfortunate stereotype of the typical modern male. The type of guy who's always cranky and angry, always complaining about something, seems unfulfilled with life and generally just uncomfortable. Doesn't treat his wife or girlfriend well, first in the home and then in public. The type of guy who seems to have never moved on from when he was 13 years old, sitting in his mom's basement, depending on her for everything, drinking Monster and playing Xbox all day. I can think of a couple 30-year-olds right now who still act like that, and I'm sure you can too. Stoicism and the general idea of masculinity are very popular right now, and it makes sense. These ideas are the direct counter to what I just described before. But there is a problem with this. You can watch all the videos you want on how you should act, what you should and shouldn't do. You can have a list of codes that you should follow. This is what I should do, this is how I should act. But there's a difference between trying to act a certain way and actually being that way. And you know, I kind of feel bad for the guys that follow this stuff. Specifically the younger guys who have been swept up in the wave of this counter movement without even realizing it. And obviously the counter movement needed to happen because, like I said earlier, or described earlier, the way most modern guys act is just plain sad. But when the pendulum swings too far in the other direction, well, guys are going to be just as unhappy over here as they were over here. If every guy acted like the guys they see in the masculinity and stoicism videos where they're all stone-faced and serious, they don't really say much and they're like a tight ball of tension, well, they're going to be unhappy. You know what I don't see in those videos? Is a guy smiling, a guy laughing, and that's just as much a part of masculinity as the serious part is. So what are you supposed to do? On one hand, you don't want to be the perpetual 13-year-old monster drinking, Xbox playing mama's boy, and on the other hand, you don't want to be so serious that you never have any fun in life. Well, you can try to be in the middle. You can try to go through life and every action you make, every stance you have, everything you say is because you think it's going to put you in that middle place. You can try that. But it's not going to work, and it's not going to lead to a happy life. I've tried it. You know, I realized a long time ago that I complained a lot, and I tried with everything I had to stop complaining. And all that led to was me complaining about the fact that I wanted to stop complaining, and I was still complaining. And then I was complaining about the fact that I wanted to stop complaining, but I was complaining because I was complaining. So what are you supposed to do? Well, I'm offering you an alternative. I'm offering the idea of daily activity. What if you could use a cheat code that lets you bypass everything and rather than trying to be a stoic masculine type, you just were one? Well, I can't claim to be the most stoic or masculine guy around. I'm definitely not, and I don't care about that. But what I can say is that daily activity has pushed me a lot further in that direction. Daily activity has gotten rid of most of that stuff I was talking about at the start of the video. The constant state of feeling cranky and angry and just generally being unfulfilled and uncomfortable with life, always complaining about something. A lot of that stuff went away. And this leads me on to my next point. We need to struggle in some way every single day. If you want to reach that state of calm relaxation that everyone's after, you got to fight for it. It doesn't come free. Opposites are real. You wouldn't know what easy is if there was no difficult. Easy wouldn't exist without difficult. A life with no struggle leads to, well, best case scenario, you're just in a constant state of being just below baseline. You know, you never really feel that angry, but you also never really feel much joy. You're always just kind of dead inside, sort of like most people. That's best case scenario. Worst case scenario, you have what happened to me in my teenage years, and you're just constantly vibrating with nervous energy, freaking out, unable to function because you don't know what to do with yourself. I wish I had known this back then. I wish I knew that all I had to do was do something hard every day and all that would have gone away. It would have changed my life. And when it comes to lifters, the problem can get exponentially worse fast. The problem is that it's a constant loop. And really this is a good thing, but the healthier you make your body, the more energy you will have. That's how it works. So say you're working out, training 3 days a week, doing full body, you're getting stronger, you're becoming healthier. Well, on those 3 days, you're good. You did something hard, you're good. Well, now on those other 4 days, you feel worse. You might be wondering, well, I thought lifting was supposed to make you feel better, but now I feel way worse. That's because you have more energy and it needs an outlet. And if you don't do anything physical and you're just kind of hanging out, then that energy might start revealing itself through all of that other stuff I talked about. You might start complaining more, or you start just feeling antsy or whatever. You need to actively seek something out. And in the world we live in, you're not really required to do much physical activity, so it's on you. Now, with all of that said, let's move on to the main part of this video. Now that you have all this information, what should you do about it? Well, I need you to understand one main point, and this is important. Everything I have talked about thus far, everything I have said, both exists outside of and is more important than bodybuilding and strength training. Let me give you an example. Every single guy on this planet, if they looked deep down, they would realize the truth, that they would much rather be 100% content as a fat, out-of-shape, ugly person. They'd much rather be that than a dude with a bunch of muscle who's shredded but is unhappy. That's an easy choice. Even if training every day caused you to build less muscle and less strength, it doesn't matter. This is still more important. Your mental state is always going to be more important than how much muscle or strength you build. That said, I think this is actually a perfect way to build even more muscle or strength. So let's talk about how training every day would lead to more muscle and more strength. Well, what you need to understand is that as a natural lifter, the main stimulus for growth is the actual training session itself. Logic would say having 7 of those versus 3 every week could lead to more gains. And that's actually what I have experienced myself. You just have to be careful with the volume. Think of it like this. If you currently have 3 2-hour barbell sessions a week, all you have to do is spread that exact same amount of volume over 7 days instead of 3. That's it. You'll be good. You'll probably experience just about the same amount of gains in muscle and strength, and that's it. Maybe if all you were looking for was just muscle, it wouldn't be worth it to you. But remember, we're talking about something that is arguably more important here. And what you will realize is that 6 hours spread over 7 days, that's less than an hour per session. So every day you come in, you might be able to add in just a little bit more volume, a little bit here, a little bit there. And eventually you're going to reach that point where you're doing as much as you can. And a couple months later, you might be doing what is now the equivalent of 4 or 5 of those original sessions. And regardless of what anyone says, more volume that you're able to recover from is going to lead to more gain in muscle and strength. And what you may discover is that training this way is more enjoyable to you. I made some amazing progress training full body twice a week, but those sessions were hard. I knew that every single time I came in the gym, it was going to be 3 hours of as much effort as I could possibly manage. And after the session, I was done. I was just going to lay in bed the rest of the day, which it was honestly kind of nice. But I have to say, even over this last month, since I split those 2 workouts into 3, it's been kind of nice to know that every time I come into the gym, I'm not just going to be killing myself. Up until now, all of this might have seemed a little bit bleak. It's all kind of depressing, you know. Man, I have to do something hard every day. This kind of sucks. That's what I need in order to feel good. Well, you can look at it that way, or you can look at it like this. Training every day gives you more opportunity to try new and fun things. Listen, I have been making myself do some type of physically demanding activity every single day for years now. I know on YouTube I've been documenting my daily back training, but I've been doing all this way before that because I know how effective it is. And one thing I've learned is that if I had to come in every single day and lift a barbell, I would go insane. I would hate that and I would quit. As much as I like barbells, there's no way I'm lifting them 7 days a week. And that's fine. You don't have to do that. If, like in that earlier example where, say you had 3 days a week, you were already training with a barbell, you don't have to spread that through all 7 days. You can keep that original program, and then on the other 4 days, it leaves you a lot of room to experiment with new things. I talked a bit about this in a recent video, but once I discovered stone lifting, my barbell training took on a whole new meaning because I realized if I wanted to get stronger at lifting stones, I needed stronger biceps, so I stopped neglecting curls. So you could find a hobby that you love for the rest of your life. And daily activity doesn't need to be lifting related. It could be anything. As long as it uses up some of your energy and requires some amount of mental willpower to push through it, you're good. That's the point. You could run or swim or jump on a trampoline or bike or whatever. As long as you're doing that, you're good. And I remember years back, I read an article by Dan John on tumbling. And I thought it seemed really fun. He said it was great for lifters, but in my training program, there was no time, so I never did it. Well, once I committed to daily activity in some way, I just went out there one day, gave it a try, I had a lot of fun, I came out on the other side better, happier, and I could have been doing that the whole time. Well, at this point in the video, you may be thinking to yourself, yeah, this all sounds fine and good. This sounds great in theory, but it doesn't apply to me. I couldn't do this. I don't have enough time because I work too much. There's no way I could commit to daily activity. And to you, my first question would be, and this is just more something to think about, would you rather have 3 hours of downtime after work where you still feel a little bit agitated, you can't really stop thinking about work, maybe you have to drink a beer to disconnect and you feel worse the next day, 3 hours of that? Or would you have 2.5 hours where you feel calm, content, and relaxed? That's all it takes. Even a half hour of some type of physical exertion will make you feel more relaxed and more content just existing. Well, maybe you're still not convinced. Maybe this still doesn't apply to you. Perhaps you have a job like I had until recently where you work 3, 14, or 15-hour days in a row plus driving, and there's no way you're coming home after that and doing more physical activity. And I get that, that's fine. For me, the job itself was enough. I didn't have to do more if I didn't want to. And that's really all there is to it, guys. Daily activity. Doing something hard on a daily basis makes everything else fall into place. No longer will you have to try to be a certain way. No longer will you feel the need to think in terms of a set of principles that you were told you needed. When all of that excess energy, that combustible energy with a tendency towards negativity, when all of that's burned away, you're left feeling calm, content, and carefree. And that's all I could hope for you guys. So I hope you liked the video, and until next time, thanks for watching.